that will be published, of course, on our YouTube channel. Sunday evening at 6 o'clock is when the recorded webinar goes up, so everybody can review. Carolina's joining us as well. Fantastic. So I'm just making sure everybody's here over on Zoom, and that's worrying that it's not happened on YouTube just yet. Let me just see if I can do something about that and try one more time. We've got Nuno, as you can see there, with his fascinating and enchanting. Oh, we have got a live stream going out. I just need to find it. Bear with me while I do that, so that I can see the questions over there. Gilda, of course, in the capital this evening, Queen of the Visas. How are you tonight, Gilda?
Fine. Everything is fine.
Very good.
We had a little. We had a busy afternoon.
As you can see there, with his fascinating and enchanting. Forgive me. Sorry, that's the YouTube coming through. We're good over there now, so do continue.
We had a busy afternoon because the SEF decided to open the vacancies for family reunion.
Oh.
Which
okay.
Didn't happen for 11 months.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, everybody was on the phone in the office. And it was not very successful, but we made some calls. We made some appointments. The line is very busy.
Yes, as you would imagine.
Yeah.
And why now, Gilda? Why did that suddenly happen?
I don't know. Nobody knows. It was very, very unexpected because everyone was thinking this was going to happen when the new agency was going to come up.
Yeah. It's like, it's in a way, they didn't need to do it yet. I mean, we're hoping that there are appointments and that the availability will come up, but they didn't really need to do any of this yet until they make their big arrival and opening in October, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a surprise. It was a big surprise for us.
Any other news from the world of migration and visas?
No, but I want to say something.
Okay, would you like to say it now?
Yes.
It's always slightly scary when you say that, but okay, go ahead.
You know that I always appreciate when the people from this community listen to my appeals.
Yes.
And there is a lovely couple from this community that came to meet us to the office today, and they brought me this.
So what have we got? Is that bubble bath? It's not in focus. You might have to explain to us what that is. Is it alcohol by any chance?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, yes.
I wouldn't be so excited if it weren't.
Yeah. Oh, bubble bath. Thanks. Right. You might have to explain. It's very blue.
Let me see. Why?
Oh, grey whale. Is it gin?
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay.
Look. It's a bottle of gin.
A Californian gin. Drink responsibly and sensibly.
Because promises are to be kept. Okay.
Okay, very good. Do we name check? Would they like to be known? This couple who shared.
I'm not sure.
Maybe they can tell us if they would like to do that.
Yes.
And I noticed in there's sea kelp flavoring in that gin and almonds, which is a lovely full circle, isn't it? The almonds, of course, grown in the Alentejo and the Algarve, and there they are in that gin as well. Fantastic.
And you owe me one gin from.
I do.
Apples from Alcobaça. Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll see what
you send me a picture of those, and I told you I want that one.
Yes. Okay, I'll do my best, of course, to make up for my earlier comments. Thank you, Gilda, tonight, representing EI and.
They just told who they were.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Matthew and Phyllis, great gift. And that's the right thing for anyone else who's watching as well. Okay. Good job, Matthew and Phyllis. And lovely to see that you're joining us from Chiado, the most Portuguese of Portuguese places in the capital, of course. Thank you, Gilda, you say, and team, for your graciousness. We enjoyed meeting you all. How lovely. And Gilda's delighted as well, clearly there. Also from EI tonight, Carolina. Good evening to you. How are you? Tudo bem? Oh, we don't have any sound for you. You are unmuted, but we're not hearing any sound, Carolina. You might need to adjust your settings there. Let's try you again. I think we might need you to adjust. So we'll come back to you, Carolina. So no stress. We'll see you in just a little while. Nunu in the capital as well, and his amazing backdrop. Good evening to you, Nunu. How's the world of insurance this evening?
Hello, good evening, everyone. So the world of insurance is much better than my throat.
Yes. What's
So,
happening for you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe some cold. I don't know.
We'll get well soon. Acho
But
melhoras, amigo.
Yeah, but I already ordered my body that the body has like 48 hours to be okay, because I have one of my bush activities, and there are no way to be sick. So
That's the
it
spirit.
has 2 days to get better.
That's the
So
spirit.
regarding the insurance scope, the milestone could be the earthquake in Morocco.
Yes.
There are, for everyone that don't know, there are a Portuguese agency that keeps surveillance under the earthquake in Portugal, and every month some little earthquakes hits Portugal. The experts says that the big earthquake that hits Lisbon in 1755 should already happen, a second one similar to this one, but we have been looking till now. So yes, keep this in mind, and maybe it will not cost much to have the earthquake covered, included in your property insurance policy.
My goodness, that's quite a sobering message tonight, Nunu. But the important and practical message and takeaway there is to make sure you're covered in that regard.
I'm going to share the link of this Portuguese agency in the chat right now.
Because people were, thank you for that, Nunu. People did feel the tremor as a something of a seismic aftershock, or as a part of this seismic activity in Portugal, for sure. It's not unusual, and of course, those from California are used to living with this kind of threat or occurrence as well as of tremors, and it affects people differently depending on whether you're used to that where you come from. But thank you for that reminder, Nunu, and get well soon. As melhoras to you. And Dr. Pereira has spoken. It is because of a lack of gin that you've got a sore throat, apparently. Okay. Gilda will definitely be getting a Christmas card from the Portuguese gin industry, I think, this year, if not every year. Peter, you were legendary in our last webinar, in the last hour and a half. How are you now? Have you got a sore throat like Nunu, or can you join us?
I'm good. I'm still good. I'm still alive, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, wow, that was
very much.
Very energetic. Let me call it like that. Cool.
Thank you, Peter and Alice. The Portugal company, of course, if you have any questions at all about taking on a buyer's agent, that's what the Portugal company do. So thank you very much for being here, Peter. We've also got Neil spoke in the last hour and a half as well. Neil from Spartan FX. Would you mind reiterating that exciting? Is it exciting? I mean, it was a little bit different, wasn't it? This ECB statement that has affected things across the currency markets, Neil.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite an interesting day. I say the main sort of news today that broke was that the European Central Bank raised their interest rate, I think for the 10th time running now, I think it is. And normally when we see an interest rate hike, we would actually expect that to benefit the euro and see the euro move higher as a result. But actually on the back of today's news, what closely followed was a statement from sort of the ECB president saying that this is now going to be the peak of where they raise interest rates. So they're not looking to raise rates any further, which has kind of opened the door for other countries to maybe benefit against the euro. And they also stated that they're expecting some really difficult times ahead in terms of growth over the next 2 years throughout the whole of Europe. I mean, that's not unique to every country. Obviously, Europe is made up of many different economies in sort of varying different levels, but it's kind of a little bit concerning that they are saying for the next 2 years there's going to be struggles with growth. One of the big reasons for that, and one of the sort of underlying factors we're seeing, is there's a massive slowdown in Chinese growth, and a lot of European markets, especially Germany, which makes up a big part of the European economy, exports a huge amount of goods, raw materials out to China. So any slowdown there is going to have a very big knock-on effect to the European economy, which is probably where that slowdown in growth is going to come from. So it's definitely, despite what looked like positive news on the surface, actually could be quite a negative thing for the euro going forward. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. It could create obviously some opportunity along the way, and I think just another twist in the up and downs we've seen over the last couple of years to what will gain for some people will obviously be against others. But it's all about timing, keeping an eye on these things, giving yourself time to take advantage when things are good. And as I think we said before, if anyone wants to chat and needs any sort of guidance or advice for their particular circumstances, then we're always there on hand if you need anything.
I did ask that question, didn't I? You know, if people sense that there's some positivity around the message and it's a good time to strike, but they don't quite understand the intricacies of it, your team are very patient with people, I think, in explaining what their options are, what's going on. And you also shared with us the forward contract idea. Could you briefly share that again? Because if things are advantageous, people can kind of hack the market in a way with that mechanism, can't they?
Yeah, as I say, something certainly kind of over the last year as interest rates have gone up, people have found banks are giving good interest. People are trying to hold money in their bank accounts for longer because they're gaining interest for the first time in a while and their money is working for them. So we also have the flip side of this, where the exchange rate is close to the best level in 20 years. People are trying to take advantage of that and make sure they're securing their currency at a very good exchange rate. And there's a way of doing both, which is a forward contract. So by putting down 10% of the amount you need to secure, so let's keep it really simple. We're looking at, say, $100,000 you're looking to sell. You can put down $10,000, secure your exchange rate now, taking advantage of the good rates we're seeing, guaranteeing exactly how much you're going to get for your money. It allows you to budget on what properties you can afford or buy, or how much you're going to have when you move over to Portugal. But you can keep the other $90,000 or 90% of your money in your US bank account, earning interest, working for you in the stock market, and taking advantage of both sides of this. So it's definitely a kind of new dynamic that has come in. A lot of our clients are approaching exchanging their funds in this way. It's not for everyone. There's very different ways to do this, but these are certainly some of the options that are there and available. And I think it's, again, tailoring that to each and every one of our clients and finding the right fit for them. And as I say, these are certainly some of the things that we explain, we explore and look at for people, and hopefully find the right solution for them.
Superb. Cheers, Neil. Any other questions that you might have about currency, do ask them. Neil's here with us for this Dream Team session that we do between 9 and 10 every Thursday evening. Let's go back to Carolina, see if you can speak to us, Carolina. No, we're still not getting you there. We do have keep trying, because we do have a driving license question for you, and you're the boss on those. Vera, I think, is here, who can help us with mortgages. Are you with us, Vera?
Yes, I am. How are you? Good evening to
Very well. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Anything to report from the world of mortgages? In the previous call, we were talking about the upper age limit of 75. Would you like to add anything to that, or is there any other messages from the world?
Yeah, we regarding that team, we do work with a bank that can actually go up to the age of 80 years old.
Excellent.
In the case that you are looking to buy in Portugal, and that will be your primary home, like moving permanently to Portugal, and then the bank can consider up to 80 years. Right. If it's just a holiday home, then we'll keep the 75 years old. But if you're looking to buy as like a retirement place, for example, as you're moving completely to Portugal, then we can achieve the 80% years old.
Good to know. Thank you very much. And you heard the news there about the ECB. What are you anticipating in the world of financing and buying homes?
Well, we have a hard topic to speak about. Hopefully, the tendency will be to go down from any moment from now, but it's something that we cannot confirm 100%.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Let's
Thank you
say
for being.
soon. We expect to be soon.
Okay, thanks for being here tonight, Vera. Any questions
My
about
pleasure.
financing your home purchase here in Portugal? Vera's here to address those. Sorry for keeping some people waiting, including Daniel coming into the call. Daniel, good evening to you. How are you this evening?
All right, I'm all right. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Hello.
Hello. I had a small problem with my laptop today, so it was not allowing me to log in before, and I decided to try the cell phone, and I was just waiting for you or Jerry to allow me in. So it was troublesome to enter the call today, but all good. I'm here, so shoot away any legal questions that you may have.
Excellent. And I thought of you. They are setting up for the triathlon here in San Martino de Porto. I know you're not going to make it this year, but maybe
Yes.
see you here next year. Great to see you. And a little bit of something that came across my desk this afternoon is some discussion in the Parliament about changing the time required to obtain citizenship. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Obtain citizenship this September. It's going to be discussed in the Parliament, I believe.
It seems so. I just glanced at a report before I did log into the call, so I don't have any facts or data to discuss. But I saw at a glance a report like that, so it seems good news regarding the last call that we had. Some people were a bit afraid that this would change for the worse, but it seems that eventually it's going to change for the better. So it's. Let's wait and see. Usually political debates do have a large time span, so probably next year we'll have some new developments on this, but it seems good news.
Very good. Good to know. Okay, yeah, as you say, went against what some people were thinking, projecting, and yes, of course, there's a political process to go through. Nothing has been announced. It is not legislation. It is a discussion that will be taking place in the Parliament. But good to see it on the agenda. Great to see you, Daniel. As Daniel says, any legal questions, just let us know, and we'll put them to Daniel this evening. I wonder, are we able to speak to Carolina, because we have a question from Barak, question for driver's licenses. When we move, is it better to buy a car with our US driver's license or turn in our US license and try to buy a car at that point? You don't need to show a license to buy a car, do you, Jerry?
No, I don't think so, Carl. I don't ever recall being asked to show my driving license when I've bought a car. So I don't think it's an issue.
Yep. Okay. And the age is.
Yeah, I can answer that. You don't need to show a driver license to buy a car.
Okay.
Only your passport, your NIF, and nothing more.
And
your address.
Yeah, your NIF, of course, the most important part of the car purchase and many other purchases here in Portugal. Carolina, thank you so much. I think we are struggling to speak to you, but look at you. You're working hard behind the scenes, and that's what goes on with the Dream Team here. You'll get people answering from the Dream Team, answering your questions in the chat as well. So look out for that. And you can PM them direct as well. And of course, find all of them in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. Carolina saying, good evening, Barak. I believe it's best to buy a car first and then exchange your driver's license, because you can't buy a car with the temporary permit. In terms of receiving your Portuguese driver's license, IMT is with a 1-year delay at the moment, so it will take at least a year to receive it. There you go. And the conversation continues between Carolina and Barak there. So thank you very much for that. Gilda, let's stay with you from Lynette. Please could Gilda advise if an Airbnb studio apartment attached to the owner's house can be used for the digital nomad residential visa, or does the monthly rental need to be a rental with its own utility bills? The answer to that is not lack of gin. That was a different question. What is your answer to that particular question from Lynette?
It doesn't need to be with the utility bills on her name.
Okay, but it does need to be a rental agreement and not an Airbnb invoice, because those days are over.
Exactly. It needs to be a rental agreement.
Okay, so there you go, Lynette. If you need to know any more about that, do add into the chat there. We'll take more questions from Zoom, and we'll also go over to YouTube as well, where we've got Mo saying good evening. Bebel, what's your favorite then in that case, Bebel? ZE is here as well. Tom Smith, thanks everybody for being over there on YouTube. We'll come back to you in just a moment. And yeah, Gilda, thank you for answering questions in the chat as well. This is one for you, Neil, from Sloan. With respect to that product that locks in an exchange rate with 10%, if the rate gets better, this is a good question. Say dollar to euro goes 1-to-1, can we adjust to take advantage, or does that contract stand, Neil?
So it does stand. Obviously, it works both ways. So if you do fix the exchange rate, that is the rate you're guaranteed. So you don't benefit if it improves, but you also don't lose out if the rate then worsens from that point. But again, these are, ways of tailoring this to benefit. We have lots of clients that sometimes may book part or half of their funds on a forward contract in the hope that the rate is going to improve and you can take advantage again if it does. Or if the rate does go down, you've obviously added some protection against the rate moving lower. But again, these are the types of things we talk through with our clients to, try and ultimately work out what it is you're looking to achieve. Do you want that security of knowing where you stand? Do you want to take that little bit of a gamble in the hope that things improve? And again, everyone is very different in the way we do this, but it really is down to everyone sort of in their own way of finding the best fit for them. But as I say, look, we very much go into a lot of detail, explain these things, how they work, the pros and cons of everything that you can do, and obviously finding that best fit for each client.
Yeah, and you can't blame Sloan for asking the question. Nice try.
No, we get asked this one quite a lot, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So it's going to have the protection and the upside. It unfortunately doesn't give you both. But
however, though, as you said, you can hedge it a little bit, can't you? And just put 50% of your total.
Yeah,
fund.
I mean, we see clients that have got, lots of time on their hands. They may even break that down further. They may do clips of 25%, 20% at a time of what they're looking to achieve. And if the rate keeps improving, keep hedging along the way and keep improving your average rate along with it. So there are many different ways to kind of approach this. As I say, it really does come down to kind of what works for you.
And the team at Spartan FX are very approachable. You can call them and have a chat with a real person, with a human being who has your best interests at heart and will advise on the matter according to your individual needs. Cheers, Neil. Thank you very much for that. It seems from Tom Smith, who's always a great asset in these calls. From what I read, it looks like they are changing the start of the 5-year clock. This is going back to the earlier comments, talking with Daniel about citizenship, from when the resident permit is issued to the day you entered Portugal. And I saw that news about the change. About the change in citizen requirements. I'm happy. I think it's important to participate in the life of the country where you live. And that's a comment, I think, isn't it, about quite a few people applying for citizenship with no intention of living in Portugal. So perhaps that will be part of the conversation as well. Do you think, Daniel?
Well, it's this debate where the clock starts ticking has been ongoing for quite a long time. For golden visa situations, the law is clear and the clock only starts ticking when the residency permit is issued. Mm-hmm. But for other types of residency permits, there is some debate going with when does it start and if it's from the entry in Portugal, from the time that you got your passport stamped after your residency visa, or from the residency permit itself. My perception is that the CEF has been accounting the time that you entered Portugal. So since the time that the residency visa was issued and that the person entered Portugal. So they've been doing this, but a bit of a gray area, and probably what's being clarified in the law is this, and they will, if this is the case, insert in the law clearly that the clock starts ticking from the time that the visa is granted and that the person enters Portugal. And that makes sense, just not to create any gray areas on the actuation of the registry in Portugal, the civil registry. In the majority of times, once we are assessing a nationality request, what we sometimes do, just when these questions do arise, is we request a certificate of accounting of the time that the person has a residency permit. Sometimes the person doesn't remember when the first residency permit was issued, doesn't have a copy, doesn't have a scan. Sometimes we are in doubt because it took quite a long time between the residency visa and the residency permit. So the way to circumvent this is to request this certificate of accounting of time. And if this is the case and the law clears this out, then I think that it will be beneficial because we will not need to request this certificate of accounting of time. So it seems really good news. I'm enthusiastic about it, let's say.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Tom, for prompting that. Yeah, thank you for your contributions as ever into the community conversation this evening. Thank you, Carolina, for continuing to try to join us this evening. I think you're through.
Are you hearing me?
We're hearing you loud and clear now, Carolina. So you're through. Thank you very much. You have been working so hard behind the scenes to join us. Well done. Thank you very much. And thank you for working in the chat as well. Yes, and everyone else who's just joined us as well. I think we've got a few latecomers to the call. You're very welcome. Good to see you on Zoom. We have another question, probably for you, Daniel. Square Eyes is asking, if I apply for a golden visa, when am I able to start visiting Portugal without a long-term visa, i.e. to stay for longer than 3 months?
Well, it depends on the nationality. If the nationality is US, UK, or any other that has a visa exemption, well, then this is a worry-free situation, I would say, because once the golden visa is submitted, the applicant can enter and stay in Portugal for the time that the process is ongoing. So let's say at the current time, unfortunately, it's taking around 2 years to obtain a golden visa. Therefore, what this means is that in some cases, when the applicants wish to reside in Portugal, they will move in and they are able to stay in the country because they have a pending and ongoing process with SEF. So they will be able to get in and get out of Portugal. So all the trips should be done via Portugal. And our usual advice is if they want to travel in Europe, by all means, they should do it, but they should do it in the initial 3 months. Because after that, you are entitled to stay in Portugal, but not travel around Schengen space. On the remainder of the months, our advice is that the clients should stay put in Portugal, or if they want to travel abroad, by all means do it. But when I say abroad, it's outside of Schengen space. So in short, the countries that belong to the Schengen space, they don't have access to the computer system that SEF operates with manifestação de interesse or golden visas. And as these two processes do take quite a long time, the usual advice is, well, by all means, travel Europe, have the initial 3 months of visa, the Schengen visa, to travel inside Europe, then relocate to Portugal, stay put until the residency permit is issued. That's our usual advice on this topic.
Daniel, great. I heard you mention UK. Does that apply as well to people who are Brazilian as well?
Correct. The Brazilian citizens do have visa exemption, so it's the same thing as if they were US or UK nationals, and they can enter Schengen space without any type of problems. And just to top what I said, usually what we convey to the clients in this type of situation is to have a print out of the golden visa application that we usually do provide. And in some specific cases, if they are leaving the Schengen space via any other country, let's say that they have a connection flight via Amsterdam, they're flying to from Lisbon to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to the US. Well, we usually draft a letter explaining the situation to the foreign authorities in English and provide all the evidences that a golden visa process is submitted, so they can pass freely without any type of problems. But again, I do stress it's not convenient to travel and stay on Schengen countries while the process is being assessed and after the 3 months of the Schengen visa has elapsed. Okay.
Great advice, great insight. Thank you. That addresses Square Eye's question there. Thanks, Daniel, in fact, in the Zoom there. And if you want to work with Daniel, you can find him, as you can, all the professionals you see here tonight at the Expats Portugal Business Directory. And we're seeing Bebel is in the YouTube chat saying that you are very thankful for the channel. Hi, everyone. Thanks for this channel. I just discovered very helpful. If you upgrade to premium membership, you can join us over on the Zoom side here and have your questions prioritized. If you do that, Bebel, let us know and we will celebrate you publicly along with anyone else who becomes a premium member this evening. And that in that way, you will qualify for all sorts of perks and privileges and discounts as well off some of the professional services here this evening. Let's go back to a really good question from Ben. What's the expense of getting one in another country like Germany and transferring it to Portugal? What's he talking about there? He's talking about cars. And I think if Jerry is able to address that, that'll be great. Oh, Daniel, did you put your hand up for that?
No.
Oh, okay. But it's an interesting question, isn't it? I mean, people think to themselves, okay, well, it's all one big happy federation of European countries. Why don't I just go and get a nice cheap deal over in Germany or somewhere else? Why don't they do that, Jerry?
Well, if we could do that, we'd all be doing it, wouldn't we?
Yes.
And the answer is because Portugal has its own rules, which are beyond the EU's rules, where it imposes a car tax for cars coming into Portugal. And as far as I know, that tax is illegal. But rather than give up the revenue, Portugal is happy to pay the fine year on year, and it's every year it gets dragged out and it's going to be changed. And you know, in the 15 years I've been here or something, I've not seen any change. So that's the reason. Cars are taxed differently in Portugal than they are in other countries within the EU.
And you can thank you, Jerry, and you can be completely forgiven for asking that question, Ben. It makes utter sense, doesn't it, that the European Union might have a single policy, but we might come back to Daniel for this. You know, Portugal goes against that policy illegally, constitutionally, as far as the European law goes. Is that likely to continue, Daniel? And how are they getting away with it?
Well, I think that Jerry put it brilliantly. The Portuguese government just pays the fines that the EU applies, and carries on charging this illegal tax, because basically they're taxing the situation twice. And that's why it doesn't compensate to import cars from Germany, because you can get really good deals in Germany with Mercedes or BMWs on the used market especially. But then when you wish to import a car, it's a nightmare in terms of bureaucracy. It's expensive. And that's the reason that the majority of people in Portugal will not do it. And then you have the time that you spend in Germany looking for the car and bringing the car or driving the car to Portugal. So it's the costs do keep adding up, but the main thing that prohibits people from doing that is indeed the tax man here in Portugal. And from the looks of it, I think it will just carry on, because it does financially compensate to pay the fines that the EU applies with the revenue that they generate on this.
It's probably fairly low down on the agenda, isn't it, of things to address EU HQ. Yeah. Okay, there you go, Ben. Great answer to the question from both Jerry and Daniel there. Let's stay with you, Daniel. And El Karan asking, does the ability to stay in Portugal while the residency application is being processed only apply to the Golden Visa, or would it be applicable to the D7 as well?
It applies to all the residency permits in Portugal. This is manifestação de interesse or a golden visa. If you're addressing a D7, and this is more a Gilda question, but if the visa is already granted, the person can stay in Portugal. That's for sure. If the visa is still pending in the consulate, my advice is don't come to Portugal while the visa is being processed, because you're not entitled to stay in Portugal after the initial 3 months of the Schengen visa. But probably Gilda can jump in on this and clear the situation a bit more better than me.
Thank you, Daniel. Over to you then, Gilda. Where is she? Are you there, Gilda?
Hi.
Nice big pause.
Yes. What was the situation?
It's that joke, isn't it? A bear walks into a bar in Portugal, a grizzly bear, and asks for a drink. Can I have a drink, please? What's with the big pause? Grizzly bear, dad joke. Okay, let's move on. Gilda, the question was. Jerry's shaking his head. You'll be using that later, Jerry, maybe telling it better than I did. The question was from El Karan. Does the ability to stay in Portugal while the residency application is being processed only apply to the Golden Visa, or would the D7 also be applicable? Staying in Portugal while the D7 is being processed, Daniel gave his assessment of that.
Yes, you can stay in Portugal while the D7 is being approved, unless you respect the tourist time that you have.
Okay, 3 months then.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Gilda. Another one for you.
Was that what you said, Daniel? Or you said something else?
Yes.
Don't worry. Here's what
Okay.
It
Okay.
was.
He was just looking. He was just
It
looking
does
for
coincide, Gilda.
confirmation from you there, Gilda. We'll stay
Yes,
with you.
that was it.
From Rosalind. Does your company help achieve residency for the partners of EU folks once the EU partner has a crew, or is that usually a self-activated process by the EU citizen themselves? They can self-activate, but of course you can help them.
No,
too.
I love doing that.
Okay, so yes, Rosalind, you must go to Gilda because she
Yes,
loves
I love doing that. Actually,
Okay.
it's one of the processes that I like doing the most. But since the beginning,
Okay.
I like doing the NIFs and then the house search, and then I do the crew and then the family reunification. Yes.
Well, Rosalind's just saying thanks. Will do. So she'll be in touch about that. That was easy. Thank you very much.
No,
for that.
really, I love doing those kind of process.
Okay.
I usually take those from me.
Okay, brilliant. Hola, Gilda from Sloan got a proposal way back in June 2020.
That's why I was not. That's why I was.
Oh, you were
not,
reading that one, weren't you?
Yeah.
See, Barack was suggesting that you were away drinking gin.
No.
Terrible thing to say, Barack. So ashamed to say we got sidetracked and started working with another immigration lawyer. Oh, we've since learned that we're not getting the best advice. I think you're going to get a look from Gilda now. One of those, I won't say I told you so sort of looks.
No,
from
no,
Gilda.
no.
You wouldn't
I'm
do
not
that,
gonna
would you,
say it.
Gilda?
No,
Not going to
no.
say it. Okay,
No,
fortunately.
only because she said the magic word.
Okay,
Recently.
fortunately not getting the best advice. Unfortunately, it's not too late because our VFS Global appointment is in December. Hopefully you will have us back. I promise to bring gin when we make the move. I'll be reaching out to you soon. All is forgiven, all is well, I suspect on that. There you go, Sloan. A good news for you tonight. I'm not clear on the last question. I'm applying for D7. Can you?
No, wait. We are
What?
still on Sloan.
Chill. Okay, yes, go on.
Okay. We'll go back to the proposal.
Yep.
I will accept you back.
Yeah.
You said the magic word.
Okay.
Gin.
Okay.
Everything will be fine. I will prepare your process and I promise you will be approved.
My goodness. Okay. I'm not. Can I move on now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey, I'm not clear on that last question. I'm applying for a D7. Can you be living in Portugal while the process is in progress?
I've already answered that.
What, in the chat? Okay. Thank you. Well, we
No,
have.
leaving, not leaving. You can wait here while the process is being.
As a tourist only, though, right? For those 3
Yes.
months. Okay, so there you go. I hope you're clear now. And I can't possibly read your name out because it just looks like you've randomly hit all the keys on your keyboard to join the call there. Okay, Mo Ward over on YouTube. Hi, everyone. And ZE, hi, everyone. Just received D7 visas for myself and my family. No appointment is available on CEF website. Any suggestions or guidance? I think I know what the suggestion is going to be here from Gilda. This is over on YouTube. You're not going to see that on Zoom there, Gilda.
What?
No appointments available on the CEF website. Any suggestions, please, or guidance?
What kind of appointments?
Okay, but please furnish your answer there, ZE.
Don't laugh, Daniel.
Tom Smith, she's got the giggles tonight. Tom Smith is saying, ZE, your appointment should be printed on the visa. It depends where you are in the process, isn't it?
Yes, those appointments.
Yeah, okay.
So we have to call every day.
Okay.
But if you don't want to have, because it's very exhausting, you can send that the visa to me and we can try to make the appointment.
There you go, ZE.
Although it can be a pretty challenge now that we have appointments for the family reunion.
Yes.
But we'll try to do it for you.
As you've said before, because you made mention to how you like people to listen to you and the advice you give, which is fair enough. It's not great, is it, to have people somewhere along the process trying to get their situation sorted out? They should have consulted you in the first place, one might say. However, that's not to say you won't help people who find themselves in a pickle.
Yes, but I prefer to do it. I had the consultation today from someone that watches the show for a long time.
Okay.
And this person told me, Gilda, I have to confess, I find the program very interesting, and because you explain everything very well, I try to do the process on myself.
Oh,
and I did,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did it, but it took me 7 months to get my visa.
Okay.
And my husband's visa came out with the wrong article.
Okay.
And without an appointment. And now I need your help to get an appointment.
I think
I told my husband, if it was today, I wouldn't do it by myself.
Yes, there you go. That anecdote tells you all you need to know. Get in touch with Gilda and team, including Carolina, who's here tonight in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. If you're a premium member, you will get a discount on those services, as I've previously mentioned. Any more registrations come in tonight, Jerry? Not yet. So we
want to celebrate the premium members.
We want to celebrate the premium members. Come on, who's going to be the next?
Yes, sorry, Carl. I've been busy responding to people. So yes, I think we've not had a premium member. No, we've had a plus member, but not a premium member.
All right. Who's going to be the first premium this evening? Gilda might buy you a bottle of gin. Might not, but she might. Okay, Pedro, I had that.
And I've also been trying to deal Linda, who's on the chat. Linda,
I accept wine also.
She had some difficulty finding the links to this meeting. So I'm
sorry,
about
Linda.
That, Linda. I've just sent you an email explaining how, how to make it work ideally.
We're making Jerry work very hard tonight. So how about we get some premium sign-ups this evening? Let us know if you do that, and we'll celebrate you publicly here. Pedro, I had that problem, no appointments for several months, so I just emailed VFS. Okay, well, you had some success there. I joined today. Where is my gin? It doesn't work like that, Pedro. We're getting a bit confused here. That's for Gilda, or Ginda, as we now call her. Ginda Pereira. Everybody, I present to you. Okay, well done, Jerry. Well done, everybody. Busy night at EPHQ this evening. Okay, let's go to the questions in YouTube. Tom Smith, hello from Ohio, where it's a pleasant 20 degrees. Good to hear that, Tom. Thank you for your input. Always appreciate that. Bebel, would love clarification about Airbnb licenses being stopped in Lisbon. Back to it's a busy night for Daniel. Does that include Cascais as well? I have a house in Cascais and considering creating garage studio to rent long term. Are they likely to get a license in Cascais for that?
Well, is it a garage, or because if it's a garage, the utilization license out of a garage doesn't allow Airbnb, at least legally. Okay. Because you need what's called an habitation license or a utilization license with the scope of habitation to obtain an AL or an Airbnb licensing. The government did some pushbacks on the situation regarding the Airbnb, and basically they pushed the responsibility to two entities. The first one is the municipalities. It doesn't seem like Cascais is terminating the AL at the moment. They may restrict it in the future, but at the current moment, there's no restrictions imposed. And at least for my knowledge, there's no conversation on having restrictions or on Airbnb on Cascais. But the other situation that I would look into detail is the remainder condominium unit holders, because they will have a lot of power now in terms of not allowing the Airbnb to be installed. So this will need to be, I think, discussed on a general assembly with the condominium and just see if everyone agrees. And I think that the owners of future ALs or Airbnbs should be willing to put more money forward in terms of the condominium fees. This is legal. If my memory stands correct, it's a 20% increase on the fees, and even if they want to entice the other condominium unit holders, you can put more money on the table. That's not illegal. Just to see if they allow the Airbnb to happen and just operate in that building. But do investigate closely once you're buying an apartment with the scope of Airbnb. Because once it has what's called horizontal property, then this may be difficult to obtain because of eventually any condominium unit holders not being too happy on having an AL in the building. So it's approach us, send us an email. We'll provide the best advice possible, but don't jump into a purchase without consulting a professional on this.
Yes, that's the point there, isn't it? Without committing to too much work or expense, it's good to get a professional view on this. And you can find Daniel, of course, in the business directory. Bebel, who's over there on YouTube. A kitten just ran into the studio, which reminds me that at 9:45, usually around the halfway mark, we're asking about pets of the panel. Of course, the king of the pets of the panel, Mandela. How is he tonight, Gilda?
I thought that he was going to start to behave better, but no.
Sadly not. Okay. All right. You look a little bit miffed with him.
Yeah.
What seems to be the problem? And there may be pet psychologists here who can help. You look really upset with him.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just feel like I should move on because it's okay. All right, please move on. Okay, thank you very much for the Mandela moment there, brief as it was. And you were also giving, maybe distracting yourself with giving interior design judgments as well. You like Brian Taylor's Game of Thrones chair. If you're on this call, Gilda is looking at each and every one of you in your backdrop and assessing it quietly, and sometimes not so quietly. So, Brian, she loves your chair there. Your question to Gilda, I have to admit that I'm getting quite confused. I thought the purpose of the initial temporary...
No, I know this. Can
you summarize it and answer it for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Brian's question is what it should be, what should be according to the law, the accommodation for a D7 before this all scene around this whole buzz around the D7 started.
Right.
Because the initial period of as you know, before that, Airbnb for 4 months would be good.
Yeah.
And then you would come to Portugal, you would find an accommodation, and you would show an accommodation for safe. Isn't it, Daniel? It would work like that.
The happy days, I remember them well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Brian, unfortunately, the rules changed. And now what SEF wants to see, what the consulate wants to see, but you submit the process to VFS, VFS sends to the consulate, consulate sends to SEF, SEF says the final word, that sends to the consulate, and then consulate says it's approved or not. And what they want to see now, it's a 1-year rental agreement to be sure that you are going to have a place to stay during 1 year.
Okay.
So when you submit your process, you already need to submit with a 1-year rental agreement. And it's not just any contract. It needs to be a contract that you need to prove that is registered at the tax office. So yes, it is confused. No, it's not in the law. It isn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's why it's confusing.
Something, it's something that consulates made up to make the process more difficult and to, how should I say, Daniel, para filtrar, assim, para...
Well, to filter, I think economically, who enters Portugal, that's probably the main line. Yeah, I do agree, Gilda.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification. And that is awkward, isn't it? When it's not the law, but it's become a convention, really, rather than a law. And if you don't know about it, it will go against you. So that's why it's good to hire the pros who know what they're dealing with here from their day-to-day experience with people. And that leads us to the question from Bebel, who's getting a lot of value tonight. I will look at the cost, see if it's worth it, of working with Gilda. I wonder if these consultations with Gilda are a cost. Now, you might want to address that, Gilda. It's always great value to be working with EI. And that first consultation call, there is a cost for it, but there's incredible value in that. Could you tell us about that process for those who aren't aware of it tonight?
Yes, our consultations are 123 euros. They take about 1 hour. we take doubts. Also, we explain if they want, if people want to apply for a visa, we explain what kind of visa it's better, because sometimes people think it's a digital nomad, and we advise no, a D7 is better, or people think that a D2 is better, but we say no, a D7 is better. We make the calculations of everything, and we put things in a balance, and we advise what visa do we think it's better for the client.
Yeah, and people speak of this hour as great value. You basically get things clarified, you get your doubts addressed, and you'll end up more enlightened about the whole process, and probably relieved about the whole process, having gone through that process, Bebel. So there you go for you and anyone else who needed to know that. You also say the Portuguese are funny about their gin. I'm letting you say that out loud because I think you have a Portuguese connection, and that's not a slur on the Portuguese race. I'm a vodka drinker, says Bebel, but I've had to expand my gin love staying here, since vodka drinkers are second class in Portugal. Don't believe that, can't be right, can they? I don't think that's strictly true, although there may be a preference for gin here, as you've seen this evening. Brendan has a question for you tonight. Good evening. I have my residence in Portugal. I have a child that has citizenship. Does that make my citizenship process go quicker? That's an interesting question. So it sounds as though Brendan may have had a child here. The family have had a child. Does that make citizenship easier if you have a child, if the family has a child here in Portugal? That's one for Daniel, I think.
It actually doesn't, because it's the residency time. So it's a connection to Portugal, of course, that it can be displayed, and it should, but it doesn't expedite the process. The waiting queue, unfortunately, is the same.
You don't jump the queue. You do not jump the queue by having a child. There, Brendan, sorry to be the bearer of that bad news for you. And hopefully it's just generally those times will clear up. But there's no sign of that at the moment, is there, Daniel? If anything getting any faster, let's see what happens.
Unfortunately, the times have not sped up. I was optimistic in the beginning, once the pandemic eased off, that things would just start being a bit more expedited, but it doesn't seem likely. The civil registry in Portugal is not hiring new staff, and people are getting old and just retiring, and they're not being replaced, and therefore services, of course, they will slow down if this is less people working, less output. That's to put it simple.
Absolutely right. And we had we were talking after the recording in the last webinar about the brain drain. Young Portuguese people, highly educated and highly trained, leaving the country. There's a gap there, isn't there, to re-professionalize the whole migration industry, or just to make it more attractive for young Portuguese people to go into. Why is that not happening?
Well, it's my take on the situation. It's a salary issue, because the government is trying to have a few measures put forward, like returning the tuition, or returning the money paid in tuition to students. But this is not the differentiator that will keep people in Portugal. It's just better salaries, better opportunities, and the perspective that you'll have a better life than your parents, and that you'll improve your standard of living. And that's why a lot of people do decide to go abroad. But I've seen a few friends of mine, they usually start their careers here in Portugal. They get frustrated by the meager salaries. They go abroad, they obtain good experience, and then they will come back with the qualifications they've obtained abroad, and then settle in back to Portugal. This has happened to a few friends of mine, and it does create a two-way street. It allows Portuguese talent to go abroad, to learn new things, and then to bring that talent back to Portugal. So moving people is something that we love, of course. Me and Jill, this is the thing that we like in this migration aspect situation. So I don't think it's wrong that people just go abroad to improve their lives. I would like to have more people returning to Portugal once they've learned new skills and new ideas, returning, and that the government would create programs for their return. The NHR, for instance, is something that can be not only for foreigners, but Portuguese citizens. If they've lived for 5 years abroad, they can get NHR as well. So this is one program that is allowing a lot of people to return. But I think that more programs should indeed be put forward to avoid the brain drain, and better salaries. That's probably the thing that would stick people in Portugal.
Sure. Thank you. I do love your sociological insights as well as your constitutional insights, Daniel. Great to have you here. Look at this. It's 4 minutes to the top of the hour. We've got to go. But I have my my question for the whole Dream Team panel, which gives us a little bit of insight into Portuguese culture. It's always a lot of fun and very informative. This week, and I've got to do a couple of quickie questions before we go there. So Dream Team, I'm going to be coming to all of you individually in just a moment. And we have Susie, who says, that she plans to rent a portion of her home from another member of this community. They would draw up a rental agreement for us for our visa process. Do they need to register that lease agreement at the tax office? That's a simple yes, isn't it? Nodding from both Gilda
yes,
and Daniel.
But if they own the house, I can find another solution.
Okay, there you go. Get in touch with Gilda and Vicky. Thank you for this. So you say,
okay, they own the house, so I can draft you another type of contract.
Very good.
Get in
Vicky,
touch with me.
thank you, Gilda. Vicky says, select A, then Casa Portuguesa, then Winsurance. They take the stress out of moving to this beautiful country. All are worth every penny. That's a lovely note to end on, the validation of the Dream Team. And I would like to ask you all a question. We have Portugal taking part in the Rugby World Cup on Saturday, playing Wales. And I would like to know how you think they're going to get on. And I'm looking at Gilda's
What?
No,
I'm a little bit slow today.
Have you heard of rugby, the sport?
Yes. My son does rugby.
Excellent. All right. Now, if you're on the Dream Team and you're thinking, I don't know anything about rugby, tell me about your favorite sport in Portugal that newcomers can get involved in. Cristiano Ronaldo is about to invest massively in a paddle court, a paddleball complex, multi-million investment. Paddleball is big in Portugal. If you don't know about rugby, give me a different sport, Dream Team, that you think expats should get involved in when they move to Portugal, because it's a great way of getting involved in the community and the culture. Gilda, will Portugal beat Wales on Saturday in the rugby?
I hope so, because my son plays rugby and I support the rugby team here in my community.
Excellent answer. Thank you so much, Gilda. Daniel, let's go to you. Do you think, did you play rugby at university, or did you get into it?
No, I didn't. Actually, the Direito law has a great team and really huge guys playing, but I never played. A few friends of mine were playing and they got hurt, because you got hurt playing rugby, yes. But I never played in my life. Although I have a ball at my home. But I was never lucky enough to play rugby. I hope that Portugal wins. That's basically it.
Thank you very much, Peter. I don't know what the Dutch chances are. They're not in the World Cup, I don't think. But do you think Portugal will beat Wales on Saturday?
I don't have a clue.
And what sport then would you suggest to an expat coming into Portugal?
I'm into surfing, kite surfing, golf surfing. So all rugby. I hope all of them will win, and they should. But it's perfect here in Portugal, next to the rugby fields, to be on the waves.
And your favorite place to do that, Peter? Who would you recommend?
I do kite surfing here in Alcochete, and today it was a bit poor, to be honest, but normally when the tide comes in, and that's around the end of the afternoon, then the wind picks up and it's perfect. It's lovely.
Top tip, Alcochete for for kite surfing. Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. Great to have you here this evening. Nunu, Wales, should they be afraid?
I think not, but sometimes surprises happen. So
and that's what we're hoping for on Saturday.
You never know.
Okay, thank you, Nuno, and get well soon. As melhoras, amigo. I hope your throat sorts itself out. And thank you for all your help this evening.
Thank you so much.
And you deserve those for the excellent feedback you've received from Vicky, certainly this evening. Neil, it's putting you on the spot. I don't know if you keep an eye on the rugby and what you think Portugal's chances might be.
I don't like rugby at all. No, I'm sorry.
Presumably, you prefer Portuguese football.
Yeah, I'm more of a soccer man and golf, to be honest. So my love of golf comes from Portugal. So many years ago, all my friends were doing a golf weekend.
Yes.
And I basically wanted to go along more to try the gin and beers, like with rather than play golf. But I actually fell in love with golf from my
in
over in the
Portugal.
Algarve. So yeah, that's
wonderful.
So that actually started my infatuation with golf. So I've got to go more golf over rugby.
And your favourite course? What would you recommend to golfers coming to the Algarve?
Anywhere in the Algarve, to be honest. Considering the weather we get in the UK, anywhere in the Algarve is a much better solution. So there's some amazing courses all over.
Thank you for what a lovely story to hear that. You didn't know you were going to get into golf, but you fell in love with it here in Portugal.
No, I used to think it was the most boring sport. Most people probably still might, but yeah, I literally came over for a weekend and fell in love with it and been playing ever since. So.
Wonderful. Thank you, Neil. Thanks for being here tonight. Get in touch with Spartan through the business directory and talk to Neil and team. Vera, do you support the Portuguese rugby? What do you think of their chances on Saturday?
Well, sorry to disappoint you on that, but I have no clue about it.
Your favorite sport, may I ask?
I might say Portuguese I might say football, as my father is a football player. So probably.
Oh, excellent. Any particular team? Because being in the Algarve, you're at somewhat of a disadvantage, aren't you, if you follow football?
Well, when he played here, he was playing in first league when Farense was part of the first league, playing against Sporting in Benfica, but now he's abroad.
Wow.
So just changed to Saudi at the moment. So now
amazing.
Let's the Saudi team.
How lovely. Thank you very much for your input this evening. Carolina. I know you are having difficulties connecting tonight. Are you there for us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. A slight echo, but how do you think Portugal are going to get on against Wales in the rugby on Saturday?
I don't follow rugby as well.
Your favourite sport then, in that case?
Football.
Football again. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is here, isn't it, really? This is a sport-mad country, a sporty end. Thank you, Carolina, to the Dream Team session tonight. You've all been fantastic, and thank you for all those lovely questions here on Zoom and on YouTube. Do join us again at 9 o'clock every Thursday evening. Back to you, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Carl. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dream Team. Another excellent session. Thank you so much. Dream Team back again at 9 p.m. Lisbon time next Thursday, and at 7:30 next Thursday we'll be talking about pets and the requirements to transport the pets and bring them into Portugal. And Gilda, we're still hopeful that we can get hold of that vet that you recommended. So I'm seeing you tomorrow, so I'll remind you then. Okay.
Yeah, bring Gin.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And how does it go, Carl? See you in...
Where is it again now? Portugal, everybody.
Portugal. Thank you.
See you then. Ciao, ciao. Thanks, Dream Team.